Hey guys, I am here today to talk about hydration. So what is hydration? Hydration is not only pertaining to the amount of water you drink, it is also pertaining to your electrolyte balance. And when that is extremely important is, well, a number of reasons, but the one that I'm going to touch on is in regards to working out. I had a couple clients reach out this week. Murph is coming up, if you haven't noticed. And in CrossFit, what Murph is a hero workout, and it is a mile run followed by 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 air squats, then followed by another mile run. Sounds fun, right? It can take anywhere from 30 minutes about to over an hour, depending on the athlete, depending on whether or not they're wearing the weight vest. It also depends on how you're breaking up the workout itself. Some people will go straight through that workout. Some people will take the middle and break it up into what we would call Cindy in CrossFit. So 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats, 15 rounds. That makes it a lot easier, trust me, than it would be doing it straight through. But it really depends on the gym. It depends on the athlete themselves. The big piece is it's summer, it's warm, and most likely your gym does not have air conditioning. And it definitely makes it for a fun experience, but what we need to be cautious about is our hydration status. So we want to make sure that we consume enough water the day before, or really every day, but in this case, we're talking about for Murph. And you also want to make sure you're consuming enough water that morning, you're consuming water throughout the workout as well as afterwards. Now, water is not the only piece that we need to be cautious of. We also need to make sure we're replacing our electrolytes. The main electrolytes being sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium. Sodium is the one everyone's familiar with. It is the most common electrolyte that we are losing predominantly through sweat. We lose a lot more sodium than anything else, hence why you taste salty when you sweat, as well as why you have maybe the salt rim on your ball cap or on your shirt. Some of us are saltier sweaters than others, and usually they know that they are salty sweaters based on their clothing. What kind of sweater you are gives you some feedback on what you really need to be concerned about or to what extent. So the more you sweat, the saltier your sweat is, the more you need to be concerned. If you aren't a big sweater, you're not a salty sweater, drinking enough water is always important, so that is something you're going to want to do. If you're working out for a longer period of time doing Murph, you are still going to want to drink more water that day. You're also perhaps going to want to include a little bit of sodium into your diet, so whether that's through salting your foods or having some barbecue for Memorial Day, that has some salt on it, or just having a little bit of Gatorade or an electrolyte tab, that should be fine. If you are a bigger sweater and saltier sweater, then you need to be a little bit more adamant about replacing. Consume a lot more water. Remember, you can only absorb about 4 cups per hour. Drinking more is not going to actually help you. Your body can't absorb it. You'll just pee it out. Be cognizant of that when you're rehydrating. And for those people who sweat a lot and are salty, you might want to start replacing during the workout as well. Your body uses electrolytes not just for balancing water, but also for contracting and not cramping, so releasing as well. That can be in the form of Gatorade. You can do Propel. Propel and Gatorade both have lower carb options if carbs are a worry for you. But ultimately, you're working out for 30 to 60 minutes. You probably could use the carbs, especially in the heat. So I wouldn't be too concerned there. Make sure you don't overconsume, because then you might cramp due to the sugar content. Another thing I wanted to touch on that doesn't really get talked a lot about is hyponatremia. Hyponatremia is when your water to sodium balance is off. So there are 3 different situations you can find yourself in and be classified as having hyponatremia. And the one we always think about most frequently is when we're drinking too much water. So you're literally drowning from the inside out. Your blood volume, water volume goes up, and your sodium concentrations do not go up with it. The other option is both of those things go up, but sodium does not increase to the same extent as water increases. And then the third option is both of them go down, but sodium goes down significantly more than water. So in that situation, it would be similar to if we're a salty sweater. So we're losing water through sweat, but we're not replacing the amount of sodium that we're losing, and that's giving us hyponatremia. Hyponatremia can actually kill you, so it is serious, but it can be prevented by hydrating and by replacing electrolytes. What are some good options other than Gatorade and Propel and other sports drinks? A banana is an option. Obviously, it has a lot of potassium in there, but you also still want to find a way to consume that salt that you aren't getting in a banana. You can also go home and eat a saltier snack. I'm sure there are a ton of salty things you guys will be having since this Memorial Day weekend, but those are some options that I have for you. So to wrap up hydration, you need to make sure you're staying hydrated, make sure you're replacing those electrolytes through a sports drink, as well as throughout the rest of that day. And that's pretty much it. When you're prepping for a longer workout, what you need to keep in mind is you definitely want to fuel appropriately for it. So the typical recommendation that I give clients is about 15 to 20% of carbs pre-workout, as well as some protein, keeping fat minimal. All of that doesn't necessarily change. That is purely based off of their ability to digest food. If you are very slow at digesting food, then perhaps you want to decrease that amount. And if you burn through that rapidly, maybe you want to increase it. I've even had some clients add in a little bit of fat to slow that process down. The reason why you don't want to increase it substantially more, even if you have a longer workout, is that you're going to feel full that first part of that workout. You don't necessarily want that to happen because it doesn't feel good. So what you would do instead is supplement with carbohydrates throughout your workout. And then that is where the Gatorade comes into play, the Propel, any type of sugary beverage. You're replacing your electrolytes as well as replacing the carbohydrates, or rather, you are providing yourself with carbohydrates to sustain the rest of the workout. Afterwards, that's when you either want to go home and have a good meal. Maybe you want to have a protein shake. How you go about that is not a big deal. Just make sure you're consuming enough food, you're recovering from the workout, you're hydrating, and you're also replacing your electrolytes. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. I'd love to answer them, and I hope you all have a great Memorial Day weekend.